Alrighty. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon for some of you. I know it's noon on the East Coast over there. Hello, my name is Vanessa. I am your host of the Pain to Purpose podcast, and this is episode 15. And today we have the most beautiful Stephanie Brown here with us today to share her Pain to Purpose story and share her story with surrendering to the higher self and her journey of spiritual awakening. I definitely know that there's so much that we can learn from people that are on this spiritual journey and that have gone through awakenings. And so if you're going through one right now, then definitely tune in, or if you know people that are, definitely share this. Stephanie is an incredible coach and healer and speaker. She's amazing, and I'm so grateful to be connected to her. And yeah, welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. It was just 3 days ago that I reached out to you, and Source just told me, it is time to get on board and tell your story. And so that is why I'm here today. The reason I start with the story is because every single person has a story. We grow up in a certain environment with certain parents, siblings, friends, school, whatever beliefs that we grow up around is essentially who we become. And this story is very important as to how we look at it as we get older, because it can either create or destroy your reality. And it took me 26 years to kind of break out of the matrix of this belief system in which I was born in which I was taught to believe. And this essentially is, you need to go to school. You need to have straight A's, and this is how you're going to be happy and successful. You need to go to college and get a good job. And after you do that, you're going to have your dream job and you're going to be happy and successful. You need to marry young and have kids. That's your purpose, is to be a mother and do all of this. This is how you're going to be happy and successful. And naturally so, my life plays out. I get straight A's, I go to college, I get engaged at 18, all of this stuff happens, but I am in a state of depression, anxiety, stress, so much anger, and I don't understand what is going on. Why am I not happy? I'm doing everything that I was told to be happy and successful. And why am I not fulfilling this? I do not understand. And it turned into episodes of depression, month long, me hurting people around me and allowing to be hurt because I am just trying to fit into this mold. And I know it's not just me. So many people have this story and stories similar to it. And so I just found myself 26 years later, just wondering why have I not succeeded? When I got engaged at 18, it was to somebody who did not know how to communicate with me, who did not know me for me. And, at that time at 18, I didn't even know myself, so how am I supposed to give myself to somebody if I haven't even found who I am? And so these are the realities of living in this belief system when you are not aware of really what it means to believe so much in something that is not good for you, or that does not necessarily fit the mold of a happy life, a true happy life. And so that was when, in the rock bottom, I had this profound moment of realization of peace and serenity. And this is what I would consider to be a spiritual awakening. And I love talking about spiritual awakenings because people want to know what it is. They want to know if they've experienced it for themselves, how they can achieve it. And people are just interested in the journey in and of itself. And I wanted to call this podcast Surrendering to the Higher Self, because I think it is in this moment of spiritual awakening, this is when you surrender. And it just comes out of nowhere, which can kind of be scary because you're not prepared for the changes that your higher self is ready to be like, all right, we're ready. We're changing your world right now. And if you are open to it, it's going to be the most beautiful journey and experience that you've experienced so far. And so in these moments of surrender, your mind kind of just becomes silent, and everything you thought you ever knew about yourself and the world around you disappears. And you feel your body just kind of wake up, your cells, every single cell in your body comes alive, and you feel this energy that flows from the bottom to the top and even beyond yourself. And it's such a profound experience. And in this moment, you surrender to no longer feeling angry about the things that you were once angry about. You feel the power to forgive not only yourself, but others around you, because you realize that for finally this belief system that you have been following your entire life can be broken. It can be changed. It's not the reason that you are happy. It's not the definition of your success. And in this moment, it is very, very powerful to surrender to that peace and that love. And this is essentially our soul. So your mind is the belief system, and your soul is that spiritual awakening, that higher self, the essentially source. And I believe that we are infinite spiritual beings, and we have come to earth to experience the good and the bad in order to learn and grow and evolve ourselves. And these moments when everything just stops and basically source forces you to sit there and listen, and provides a space of peace and love, you begin to heal. And it is, I can't describe to you other than it is the most beautiful thing and the most life-changing moment. And this moment can be scary. And the reason it's scary is because now, it happens out of nowhere. So your loved ones, friends, family, they really don't know what's going on with inside yourself if they haven't experienced it. And so now all of a sudden you kind of feel isolated, and you are just thirsty for information as to what is going on and how you can better yourself. And this is where, healing starts to take place, and you search and seek healers. So it's people like you and myself that are here to say, oh my gosh, we have been waiting for you. Welcome. This is a place of space, unconditional love. You can cry, you can heal, you can be whatever it is you need to be with no judgment. It's just pure love. And I know it's going to be a long journey, because you can have this spiritual awakening, but it's sometimes hard to continue to implement into your life, because like we all know, we have the job, we have friends, we have family, we have significant others, we have all of these stressors that are constantly coming at us left and right. And to keep our mind in this peaceful state is not always the easiest thing to do. And even as somebody who focuses on that all the time, I still have my struggles. I'm still learning. But 3 years later, my journey has gotten me to where I am. And I can say that I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. I no longer really have depression episodes. I don't have anger issues like I was. And anytime something is presented with me, and now I have the tools to really get through and talk to my soul and go to that space to where I know where things are good for me. And it's in this space where you are the creator of your new world. It's no longer these belief systems that we are living in. And I want to go back to people living in their stories, because this is really important. Because if you do not surrender to your higher self, or do not seek to better yourself, you continue to go into this world unknowingly, unaware of what you are doing, because you're stuck in this mold, in this matrix. And when you do not heal yourself and you go interact with other people, you aren't able to heal them. As a matter of fact, you are transferring that energy and those belief systems and not helping the system heal and to become a bigger and greater thing. And so you find yourself in these relationships, you meet somebody and you're just like, wow, this is amazing, but it's built on a foundation of not really knowing who you are, a foundation of potential. If it was for me, it was always a foundation of worthlessness, depression, anger, all of these things. And you're dancing on the stage with somebody else who has not met themselves. And you continue to create these relationships, and years go by and your life has played out. And so when you become aware of why things have happened and why you're not happy, it's because you just haven't put in the time and work to make sure that you are in a good state of mind to create the world in which you want to live. And it's just really important to me to let people know that the help is out there. We are here to guide you. And myself, like, I've had to go to healers, and I've met beautiful people along the way, such as yourself, Vanessa, that has helped me grow as an individual. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without people who are putting in the work to heal themselves and then extending their knowledge to help others around them. And I just don't want to continue to see these stories define people, because you are so much more than your story. You are so beautiful, and you are divine and infinite and pure of full love, and you deserve everything that this world has to offer. And it hurts because I was there too. I did not think that I ever had it within myself to be that person that could have everything that I've ever wanted. But these spiritual moments of peace and surrender have completely changed my life. And I feel that other people can do that as well.
Wow. How beautiful is this? So what do you feel like turns people away from, because it can, my spiritual awakening was definitely more scary than it was peaceful. But what do you feel like turns people away from opening themselves up to their higher self, or opening themselves up to spirituality and healing themselves?
I think there's multiple things. One is they're scared of being vulnerable. This is a place or a world that is not very forgiving when you are vulnerable. And so now you have to protect your energy. So if you become vulnerable and you are expressing yourself and trying to be love and light, if you are in situations where they might tear you down, or you might not have the support that you need in order to fulfill this longing for peace. And that's the scary thing about it too, is if you start on this journey, that might mean you are in a new relationship. And that is a scary thing to do, because if you are in a current relationship that you start to see is very toxic for you, now you have to change that status. And sometimes it's changing your job, and sometimes it's changing your friends. But not always. Sometimes you do have that support, or sometimes it's being able to communicate and have people understand what you're going through, and you can keep everything that you've had and heal everybody around you, and you guys can all grow together. But sometimes that's not the case, because some people aren't ready for this awakening. They haven't met it within themselves, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We are all on our own journey, and we all come with our own karma and our own life lessons that we need to get through. And that is not for us to decide for somebody else. But when it's time for us, it just happens. And that's why it's scary, just because so many things are changing all at once. And also, if you are not a very spiritual person, or you've had, I was born and raised Mormon. And so I left the church at about 18. And there's nothing wrong with different religions, but for me, it wasn't for me. And it made me a little bit iffy to touch back into spirituality just because of how it made me feel in my past. And so I could see blocks there when it comes to religion or past traumas with spirituality, to where you don't want to give in to the feeling because it doesn't feel right. So I think a lot of people stop for those reasons, because it is scary. It's a lot of change. But when you do accept it and when you do start to look at it for yourself, your life instantly starts to feel better and become better. And whether that's spirituality or not, when you start to focus on, what you're talking about to other people and what you're telling yourself in your mind, stop talking down to yourself and start saying that you are powerful, that you are beautiful, and that you are a creator of your existence, things start to change. You start to eat healthier, you start to listen to more uplifting music, you start to watch better shows, and just little things here and there, these little synchronicities, they start to make your life better. And even if it's just something small, one step forward, you don't have to change your whole world. At least you are healing little pieces at a time. So as a healer, we're not asking, you have to start, you need to go through this experience and it needs to happen all at once. For some people it does, they are ready for it. But for some people it's not as easy. But I think just as a coach and a leader, just take those little steps, and it could take 10 years for you, but you will see that 10 years ago you were lost and now you have slowly been found, and you will be happier for it.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. And so, something that I definitely feel like is important is finding that security, especially if you're someone that there's not very many people around you that are supporting this new path that you have. And so there is that transition period that I know many people go through, where it can feel lonely. And
Yes.
so how have you been able to find a sense of security and support within yourself and becoming, your own best friend, your own cheerleader?
I don't want to say that maybe it comes easily to me. I've always been somebody who, fortunately enough, I've always been kind of a hermit. I've always been one to myself. I love knowledge. I love to read, and I love the evolution of one's soul. And so I've always been attracted to this kind of information. But with that being said, it was never easy. I'm very loving and kind. And so obviously I want to just express myself to everybody around me, but I ran into those toxic people who wanted to tear me down and say that it's just hosh posh, and that I'm just becoming one of those like crazy hippie vegan, people. And it's just like, well, but it makes me feel better and it makes me feel happy. So during that time, I had to learn who to talk to and who not to talk to. I had to protect my energy. And I sought out books about spiritual enlightenment, because it was me, myself, and I, which usually is the case if you don't have a support system. There are people out there, and there is information out there, and these people want to help because they understand exactly where you are and they want to see you succeed. And they are here to provide that space of unconditional love. And that's another thing, is a lot of times we don't find that. We don't find that place where we can be with a group of people and just be vulnerable and just be authentic and real and cry and laugh, and heal together. And Vanessa, last year we went on a spiritual retreat, and you provided that space there was a few of us in this group. And I was talking to you before we started this, and it was just, I didn't know what to expect when I went. I wanted to go so I could learn new techniques, that I could use for my clients and customers, and things for myself. And it ended up just being 3 beautiful of vulnerability and hearing everybody's stories and watching people cry and watching people have those aha moments of, wait, this is how I can feel all the time. Like I can just go somewhere and meet people who think just like me and are on the same journey. Like it's such a beautiful place to be. But if you are alone and isolated, it's more of seeking those people out, and that might take time. But again, like I've been saying, there are people out there who are ready to take your hand and give you that space, and with no judgment, just pure unconditional love, because that is what we are. We are just full of unconditional love, and light.
I definitely believe that the as a healer, the space holding, this has been talked about. I had another podcast with Joe Petrosky, and a master energy healer, and we talked about the holding of space, and really ultimately when someone is able to receive a mix of acceptance and unconditional love, and a space of pure, non-judgment, so that pure acceptance, that they can really be who they need to be, because their body knows exactly what. It's so funny when I've been studying NLP, and our subconscious, when we're going through a high emotional traumatic event and it's like too much for our body, our mind's like, okay, this is too much. Our body's like, this is too much, so we're going to store it in the body. But the thing is then we attract situations that bring up those triggers, but our body actually doesn't want to hold on to the emotions. It knows that this is not good for the body, and the body is consistently working to be in homeostasis for you, to keep you alive. And so it's just beautiful how the experiences we have can bring up these triggers. And so this is why this healing journey is so profound, because your body is working with you to release these dense emotions that are withheld in the body. But if you don't have the space to authentically, be that, and you might not have it in the moment, but to at least be, working with someone, or have a support group, or have, a mentor, somebody that can help you be in that space, so that you can authentically be who you are and fully heal. That's been the most profound aspect, for sure, when on this journey, just helping people heal.
Absolutely. And I feel like that stored energy in your body, when it becomes too much, is usually when you're hitting rock bottom. And those are usually when you have these spiritual awakenings, because I think your body is just like, can't do it anymore. We are stopping everything. We're going to put your mind aside and we're going to have a heart to heart, and the energy starts to flow through your body, and you are able to work through and heal on your own. So your soul knows exactly what it needs, like you were saying, and it provides the space for a moment in time for you to heal, because your body knows what's best, and it absolutely wants those energies out. And then, like I was saying earlier, you can't it doesn't always stay with you with this spiritual enlightenment and this awakening, and this thirst for this knowledge. You do it, and then life kind of goes back to this pattern of the same story if you don't keep up with healing yourself. And that's why it's important to find these support groups, or find these friends or people who are going to constantly challenge you and constantly trigger you and provide you that space, so that you are always healing, because you will never stop healing. There is always going to be something that you need to work on, and new challenges that are thrown your way. And it's just important that we implement these healing techniques and tools throughout the rest of our life. And I highly recommend going to a spiritual retreat, or doing something of that sort, just for the experience, because I cannot put into words what you are going to experience. But in those 3 days, I am closer to those people than I am several even acquaintances and long-term friendships, because we weren't able to be raw and authentic with one another. We are just who we are, and we come together and it works. But meeting people in that space is a complete another level of friendship, and it's your souls are connecting, not just your mind. And it's just a beautiful place to be.
So with the aspect of surrendering, um, how would you, like, what does that look like? I know you mentioned it feels peaceful, but how would someone that is really, really, I would say, the opposite of that is like really being in control and attaching and grasping. I know what's talked about in Buddhism so often is the mental clinginess is what creates suffering. So when it comes to surrendering, how did you get to that place of surrendering? Was it just like okay, I'm just letting go of everything, just finding that peaceful space? Was it in meditation? Like, how could someone that's listening to this find that space of surrendering to their higher self?
I think meditation is a really good spot. It's a really wonderful spot to start. We never really slow down and take time to just do nothing. We're in a busy, busy, busy world, and we're constantly bombarded by social media and people and emails and work, and even your own mind is constantly worrying about the next task. And so really taking that moment to straighten up your body, open up all of your energy fields and just sit there and breathe. And, meditation doesn't come easily at first, because you're just so used to thinking and wanting to do the next thing. So you just start in small increments, and work your way up to longer periods of time. And guided meditations are a really good starting point as well, because it gives you something to focus on that is uplifting and spiritual, and that goes deep within your heart. And you have breathing techniques that you're working through with somebody else, and then you can go on to where it's just you yourself. But spiritual awakening is really where I learned this suffering. The surrender. Sorry if you can hear my cat. He wants to come under the door. So
My cat's like looking like, is that a friend?
yeah, I closed the door because they were jumping up and taking stuff down. So I was just, I'm gonna leave them out there. But the spiritual awakening. So really, again, it's when your mind, you kind of just lose sight of everything that you ever thought you knew about yourself and the world around you. And I understand that not everybody gets to this place, or it doesn't just happen for them. So you might have to work a little bit harder to find this place. And so really just quieting the mind and seeking out this information, start looking at what it is to heal yourself, what techniques and tools you can start to use, like practicing gratitude daily, putting your hands on your heart and trying to get that energy to go through your body and talking to yourself and telling yourself that you are beautiful, that you are powerful, that you are successful, that you are happy, all of these things you continue to tell yourself, and you will reach a state where you no longer knew who you once were. And it takes time. And it really does take time and effort. It is work. It is work, and it is very tiring to be angry all the time and sad all of the time. You're constantly thinking and doing all of these things. But the same goes for your happiness. It doesn't come easily. We are constantly, again, bombarded by the world around us. And so you really have to put the time and effort into creating that space for yourself. And it's easier said than done. It really is. Just because of the world that we live in. But it's not impossible. And so for people who, haven't had a spiritual awakening, I really just recommend starting with that daily thing, just put your hands on your heart and take a few deep breaths and quiet the mind and just start filling your mind and body with positive things. And, just start to see what happens from there and seek out the knowledge that is in the world, for people who have already been where you are and who have created their reality of happiness and success, and spirituality. And of course, coaches and leaders as well. We're always here. There are several of us, and you may not resonate with me. You may not resonate with Vanessa, but I'm sure there is somebody out there who speaks your language and who is ready to help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and boy, has that ever, the investing into self, because of course, like I've spent the years of my own like personal self-study, but you really do kick it up many notches, quantum leaping, when you find that aligned person and or that whatever it is that you want to study, and you put in that energy and the finance and the time into yourself, and this is what I definitely feel like is one of the new ways of education and transformation is working with people, flowing with people that are living a life and doing what it is that you feel called to do, or they have certain aspects that you would like to embody, learning from those people. And it's that's the fastest way to really break through your limitations, having someone, because it is tough when you're working through you're in that mess and you're trying to work through your own stuff. You can takes a lot of time because you can get just really caught up in the emotions and then the overthinking and things are going wrong, and to have that support is really, really incredible. And so you brought up about creating your reality. So what has been really powerful for you in being able to create the life that brings you peace?
Changing my mentality, changing how I speak to myself every single day, and the habits that I do every single day. So practicing that gratitude. When I first started on my coaching journey, it was very exciting, but scary at the same time to be reaching out to other people with this information. And so every morning I would just have to I put it on my heart and my stomach, because my gut, and you have that gut instinct in your heart, so those two are always kind of like, what am I doing, what is going on, like, am I going to say the right thing, like trust in source, and so I was always in this ecstatic state, and in order to calm myself down and allow source to channel through me to say what needed to be said to people, I would just put that energy into where it needed to be and take that moment to breathe. And I started practicing meditation. And I made sure if I was having a bad day, I would turn on a podcast or anything that had to do with healing, and I would sit there and listen to it. And then I would have new information to tell people, and I instantly would feel better, because every single day I am putting my energy into what is going to make me happy. And that's the difference between living a normal everyday life where life is just happening to you, and living in a world where things are happening for you. And when things start happening for you, that is when you can start creating, and creating goals. It's really good to have yearly and 5-year and 10-year goals. You need to know where you are going in order to get there. And how you're getting there is not up to you. As long as you know where you're going, source is going to give you all of the tools. The universe is going to have your back the entire way, as long as you are following your intuition in your heart. And there's no way you could not be happy with that. So now you are creating this world by listening to and tuning into who you really are and what your purpose is in this world. You look like you were about to say something.
Oh no! Oh, something definitely came through. Just I've studied a lot of Eckhart Tolle, and in his book, The Power
Oh,
of Now,
yes.
he talks about, treating the, something along these lines. It's not, word for word, but looking at the universe as if that universe is your best friend.
Mhm.
And how would you, or even a lovely partner, this marriage with the source around you, and therefore the source within you. And Albert Einstein has a quote about believing, you can either believe that we live in a hostile universe, or we live in a
Mhm.
friendly universe, and
Right.
that's ultimately up to you. And so what you ask for, would you like to receive it? Is that's just such a big struggle. Has that been something that you have struggled with, when, as far as like asking for what you want and like believing that you deserve it?
Yes, of course. When I first started, it was kind of easy to lean into it. Um, but then, again, life starts to happen, and you kind of lose sight of it sometimes, especially if you're not practicing it daily, and really asking yourself what it is you really want, and reevaluating every step along the way. The journey to healing is really, it's work, but it's beautiful work at that. I don't know why you wouldn't want to continue to evolve yourself and continue to create the world around you. When I first started my work, and after I came back from Seattle, I legitimately, he is my boyfriend now of almost a year. But I sat in the car after I got back from the airport, and I drove straight to him and had him sit in the car, and was just like, this is what I've learned. This is how I feel. Like this is amazing. This is beautiful. Like, I wish you could understand. I wish you were there. Like, and at this time he was just my friend, but obviously, obviously we were kind of testing the waters. But I would probably have never met him if I was not at a place in my mind and my heart to know that I can communicate clearly. Like, I am a communicator, because I believe that is a foundation to a healthy, lasting relationship. And that was one thing that we had talked about was, if we are going to become more than friends, then we absolutely need to always have an open communication. Like, I want you to be able to tell me anything. And within my heart, I had to know that I was worthy of somebody who would be so kind to me, of somebody who tells me every day that they love me or that they appreciate me. Whereas previous to doing this healing, if somebody were to say those words to me, I did not believe them. I thought that they were lies. I thought that I was unworthy, that I was not pretty enough or smart enough or funny enough or whatever it was. There was always something in the back of my mind saying, this is not good for me. Like, I can't make them happy, or they can't make me happy, and these excuses. But it's because of how I was talking to myself. And so when you start to bring positivity into your life, and you start to practice these things and ask for that relationship, then you say, okay, if I want this, then I also need to be this. And you start to change who you are on a very fundamental level. And it starts to grow and attract everything that you could want and more. So, really, I think that it's just getting out a piece of paper and a pen and having some quiet time and writing what your goals are. Like, what really moves you? What makes you burn? What makes you wake up in the morning and want to continue doing what you are doing? And who do you want to have by your side, ideally? Um, and what is it that you want? You really need to get clear on this, because when you're clear, that energy from the top to the bottom of your head and out into the universe doesn't have any blocks. You know exactly what it is that you want, and the universe responds to people like that. The universe responds to that direct communication. And you just believe that it's going to happen. You trust in the universe, and you will begin to see that things start to happen for you.
And boy, is trust ever such a such a journey. I feel like there's so many layers to the trusting, but I love this, and just what keeps coming through is the um you know, even taking time to write, like, what is the relationship that I want to have with the universe? Like, what is the most benevolent relationship that I can have with the universe, therefore myself, and therefore the people around me? It's going to become such a universal reflection, because this is what you're saying you want. And how does one know what they want? It's all about trusting yourself. You do know what you
Yeah.
want, even though you might have, when you were younger, like, no, your mom's like, no, you don't know what you want. I know what's best for you. Or, it's just, there could be so much of that. But I definitely do know within my being that we do come here with everything that we need, just like the apple seed to the apple tree, that you do know exactly what it is that will make your soul sing and create a beautiful butterfly effect of healing, love, and transformation for the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that tenfold. And, you know, tapping into that for myself was just the most scary but exciting thing. Because it is beyond who I ever thought that I could be. It's more than I could have ever dreamed and imagined that I could be. And yet I'm sitting here now with this new healed mindset that I can be whatever I want to be. I can be whomever I want to be. And I can't and it can happen. And the limitations and the boundaries that were once shackled me down are now just gone. And it's just a matter of continuing on the path and the journey and trusting in the process that you're going to get exactly where you need to be. And a huge thing when it comes to healers is, you know, you have these grand people who have made history. Their names are in history books and they changed the world. They led nations and countries. And it's just like, wow, how can somebody be that powerful? You know, how can somebody change the lives of so many people? And then it goes to yourself, and it's like, you know, I could be capable of doing that. I could lead nations of people. But right now, with what I have, all I can do at this moment in time is lead myself in the community of people that are around me, because those are the people that the universe is putting in front of me. And I daily, anytime that I go to work as a server in the food industry, I have people that get to sit in my section, and I have the choice on whether to talk to them about these beliefs or not, you know, and or whatever it is that they bring to the table. I get to have my perspective of positivity and light and healing, and people respond to that. One thing I wanted to mention was this past year with COVID in 2020, it being a year of devastation and, you know, so many negative things that you want to put on it. It was hard and it was definitely transformative. Um, but when people come to me and they are just having so much emotion and anger and resentment towards the year, um, and to be noted, I lost my job twice. And I got a new job and I quit that job, and it was up and down for me. Like, it was a very, very stressful year, and I was not able to focus on everything that I needed for myself. But with that being said, I took on the perspective of how beautiful it really was that globally, the universe kind of forced a spiritual awakening on everybody. They made everybody stop for a second and reevaluate what is going on in their world. It gave people time. It gave people the space to reevaluate and see if they were happy or not. And jobs were lost, so now you had to find new jobs. So maybe, you know, it's possible that people were able to start doing what they actually wanted to do. it was possible that people who, marriages weren't really that happy, people were able now to be home and reevaluate the fact that maybe they want to be home more often, or that they want to go travel, or, and this wasn't just the USA, this was global. This was everywhere. And I think that it is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. I know that there was other things that have happened, that aren't so beautiful, but I don't want to focus on those things entirely for healing purposes. But also in healing, I do want to mention that there are shadows and there are dark sides within ourselves and within communities. And we can't ignore these things. This dark side and shadow work is what we call it, is essential to your healing. And so, COVID, even the dark sides of it, brought to light areas that needed attention. And so that would have never happened without this global pandemic. And so I gracefully tried to implement that on people who are so upset with 2020 and what it did for them. And I just try to alternate that perspective. And really, that's all that I can do. They can take that information and do what they want with it. And the same goes for healing. Anybody listening to this, whether today or later on, you can take all of this information and just put it in one ear and out the other, or you can do something with it. But that's all part of your journey and your healing. And it's just, I don't know, now we are in 2021. And if anybody knows about numerology, it is the study of numbers and their significance with energy and with people and circumstance. And so 2021, if you add up all of those numbers, it makes the number 5. And in numerology, the number 5 is essential change. That is transformation. This is the time for things to happen. Anything that you've been thinking about doing, this is the year where globally the universe has your back. With this significant number, it is a year of profound change. And so embrace that. I want everybody to embrace the possibility of new and amazing things happening this year. And not really give in to what's happening social media wise. Be that change and that perspective and that light for people who need it, if you feel that within yourself.
Wow, so beautiful. I love looking at these different perspectives of what we've been going through globally, because I've had multiple conversations with people that of having to reevaluate who they are, because now, like, oh, I'm not going to the same job that I used to. I'm, not running the business anymore, or and now I'm home and actually get to look at my relationships, and is there still a fire burning here, or did we just stop put in wood in it, and can we put more wood in it and add the paper, and can we light it back on fire? Is that something that can happen? And or is it time to separate? A lot of reevaluating. And so I love the looking at this year as just the continuous profound change. So definitely focusing on what it is that you envision for your life. And we've had a lot of time, a lot of space to really think about that for the people that are open to this. So thank you so much, Stephanie. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we conclude?
Honestly, at this point, I feel like I've been a fountain of information. But really, if you've ever even doubted spirituality, or not even spirituality, but just healing yourself, or doubted ever being able to overcome the obstacles within yourself, I just challenge you to at least attempt to try it. I challenge you to surrender to that feeling, and surrender to even the humility that it may feel to be happy for yourself and to have self-love. It's an obstacle, because there are so many moments and experiences that you have been through that makes you feel like you are never capable of great things and never capable of love and unconditional peace. Um, and it's just not true. It's not true. You are infinite and you are beautiful, and you deserve everything that this world has to offer and more. So I challenge you to find that peace and surrender to the love, and really start your journey of healing, and reach out, and whether it's to me, Vanessa, or anybody that resonates with you, um, and really just begin that journey, because I can promise you that it is going to change your entire world, and it's going to be for the better because it's coming from the heart. And it's your spirit and your soul speaking and just screaming, ready to be free from the shackles of your mind that keeps forcing it down. And it really is just a liberating and beautiful, beautiful feeling. So, with that, absolutely, absolutely, thank you for having me on here, and sharing my story and sharing my thoughts about, how to overcome these obstacles and live a life, that you can create, full of love and happiness. And hopefully, we will see some more people at the retreat that we get to experience these moments with.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I can't wait. It's all in the works, and I know it's just going to be a beautiful meeting place. The street that I live on is Hearts Lake, and so we're naming the
Oh,
retreat property the Heart of 5D.
oh my
So
gosh.
I'm
I
I'm
can't,
super excited.
I'm so amazed. I'm so amazed by you and how far you've come. I mean, I feel like you personally had that realization. You woke up from the matrix and you realized that this is not how you want to be and you want to heal, and you are so very powerful. And you are so sweet. When you talk, there's just like this monotone, not monotone, very soothing sound, and you speak from the heart and you speak to just soothe, and it's very effective and very powerful, and I know that you are going to make it very far, with what you are doing. So it's all in the universe, it's all in the works. Here we are a year later and you have come so far. I'm very proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. That means everything to me. So much love. Oh, I'm so freaking grateful. Thank you for everyone that's tuned in. If you would like to get a hold of Stephanie, reach out to her, have some conversation with her, work with her, where can they find you?
So I will, all of my information is on Facebook. I can add you into a group. So I don't know if that link is, well, we are on Facebook Live. So if you just click on there, then you can reach out to me, and I'll get you all the information that you need.
Beautiful. Perfect. All right, Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful story, and I also the flow of your words, and where they're coming from is so pure, and I am so grateful for and super excited for everyone that gets to hear this today, because it was extremely just profound for no matter where you're at right now in your journey. Just uh, as Wayne Dyer says it, have a mind that's open to everything and attached to nothing. So just simply opening your mind, opening your heart to these different perspectives, and you don't know if you don't try. And you can dive into stories of what's worked for people, and give it a shot. And you never know when you're gonna have that satori moment, and you're gonna wake up out of an unconscious place and step into infinite potential even more so, and just continue because it's infinite. So thank you, Stephanie.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely day, and we'll be in touch.